Okay, so in the last class we looked at radial distribution function, right? So we understand radial distribution function. We didn't go in detail, but we understand just looking at the graphs, we understand what it means. And given a RDF, we will be able to kind of at least say something about the structure of the a system, like is it a gas or liquid or a solid. And you can also say something about the potential, right? So whenever my potential is minimum, you'll see there would be a peak in your G of R. So you can say something about the potential also. Okay, now then we look, just discuss something on information theory, not in detail but as much whatever we want. I think it's more than enough. So this is called the Shannon's entropy. Remember, how is Shannon's entropy related to Boltzmann? S Shannon by K will give you S Boltzmann. Sorry. S Boltzmann by K will give me S Shannon. So if you look at K is nothing but actually it's a conversion constant, right? Conversion from temperature to energy. And if you think of a system, actually it's the energy which is the measure of temperature. If you look at this, you look at the energy content of the system, and it's actually a measure of temperature. And but energy is measured in joules and temperature is measured in Kelvin. So and energy units are very less. If you look at, if I say, if I have a single gas molecule, and we'll say the energy is 3 by 2 kT, right? So the idea is if I measure this, it's very less. So to use this as a temperature reference, so that's why we have T is the absolute. This is the Boltzmann's, sorry, Kelvin scale, and we use KB is something like a conversion factor. Okay, it's just there because the energy units are so small, so you are converting it. So it's just a conversion factor. Okay. So now let's look at systems. So till now we have looked at, when we talk of interacting systems, what is the interacting systems did we look at? Can anybody answer what kind of interacting systems we have looked at? Somebody has to answer.
Sir, 1D, 2D model of Ising model.
Yeah.
That
So
magnetic.
correct. Ising model, right? Or magnetic spins, that's correct. Ising model. And where does the interaction term come? It's with the coupling constant J.
Between the spins. Yeah.
Correct. And other than that, any other interacting model we have looked at?
Multi-layer adsorption, sir.
Yeah. So we also kind of looked at, we studied multi-layer adsorption, where the molecules themselves, so the first layer will interact with the surface, but from the second layer there is interaction. So these molecules are interacting among themselves with some energy, we said epsilon. And again, even here we didn't consider interaction between adjacent adsorbed molecules, maybe be it between 1 and 1 dash, or between all these adjacent layer. There was no adsorption, there was no interaction, and we know this is just an approximation, especially if you think of a ion adsorbed on a surface. right? If it's then you'll unless it's not screened properly, then the adjacent adjoint species also will experience a certain kind of repulsion or attraction depending on the type of forces we are looking at. So but we didn't do we have not defined we defined partition function for, like, let's say, a discrete case, right? Now let's and see, for all these cases when we looked at partition functions, what was our we started with the ideal gas. Okay, and ideal gas, what is the partition function? Z. Does anybody remember?
V to the power n
Yeah.
upon triangle to the power 3n n factorial.
Yeah. And here, remember, this n factorial comes because of this indistinguishability. And this is, I'd say, h square by 2 pi m k t to the power square root. And this h is coming because of some quantum aspects which we looked at, right? Actually, we looked at a particle in a box, and from there we looked at the energy states. So this is some quantum aspect. But if we neglect the quantum aspect, we actually don't have it's a very simple derivation, right? For a canonical ensemble. What do I say? I look at this 1 over n factorial. I can keep it, leave it, that's okay, but I'll just keep it. So d cube p. So d cube p1, p2. Why I'm writing d cubed? Because px, py, pz is there. And then the same thing is with x, d cube x1, d cube x2, d cube x3, and multiplied by e to the power minus Hamiltonian was, since what is the Hamiltonian Rp for a ideal gas? It's just p square by 2m. And there is sigma, of course. I goes from 1 to n particles. Okay. So, and u of r is 0. So I just have to, the whole answer is nothing but if I integrate this Gaussian integral dp e to the power minus p square by 2m, there is a beta p square by 2m. And this whole integral, I've done it 3n times, right? Because 3n each n has 3 of this d, p, px, py, pz, and everywhere it is, since the system is isotropic, we can consider that. And since my potential is not dependent on the position at all, so I can basically, all these dx1, dx2, dx3 will come up. So what is dx? It's v, and for every other particle, so I'll get v power n factorial, this particular h bar. Okay, so even if the h, if you forget writing this h, that's fine, right? So that is only coming from the quantum aspect. This is the classical partition function, so remember this. This is the classical partition function. So now what I would do is, imagine that you have a gas, and if I want to study real gases, how does real gases vary from ideal gases?
The UR term is not zero.
Yeah, so there is
Potential between them.
yeah, correct. There is some intramolecular forces between the molecules or atoms you are considering, right? So that's how it is differing from your ideal gas. Okay, so here my h of r, sorry, the Hamiltonian, which is a function of r and p, would be again sigma pi square by 2m. This term is there, I goes from 1 to n, plus there is a potential term, and we are considering only pair interaction. So okay, here is the, So a real gas, even if I look at oxygen, nitrogen at room temperature, they behave mostly ideally, right? Because the density is so small except when they come in contact or close to each other. Everybody agrees? That's the only difference for a real gas. Under moderate pressure, if you look at that, so in an ideal gas, what you say is all these are point particles and there is no intermolecular attraction at all. Even if you consider real gas, unless you're not at a very, very, very high pressure, at moderate pressures, generally what happens is why the non-ideality or the real fact that these are real gases is coming by the fact that two molecules are coming close to each other, and when they come close to each other and when this occurs, there is some intramolecular attraction, right? Is everybody following this? Okay. So generally and these are real gases. And how am I defining these real gases? Think of a system where you have a knob which you can turn on or off, and this knob is controlling the intermolecular attraction. Okay, so now initially you have kept U as 0. That means what kind of gas you're looking at? Ideal gas, right? Now slowly I turn on the U a little bit. So these are very weakly interacting gases. So again, you can call them dilutes, very dilute gases, or extremely dilute systems. So this is a very good model, and you'll see what results you get, etc. This is a good model for gases because they are weakly interacting, and we also know that these interactions are very short range. Remember, they behave like these are similar to kind of Lennard-Jones kind of interactions. Only when they are 2 to 3 diameters away from each other, there is some attraction, and then beyond which there is some electronic repulsion, right? Because the overlap of electronic cloud. So it's a good model for dilute gases, or generally gases at moderate pressures. It's a good model. So my U between, let's say, particles I and particle J, right? What would be that U dependent on? It would depend on the distance between I and J. Okay. So imagine there is no other potential here. There is no electrical potential or anything. These are short range forces. That's why I'm saying weakly interacting. If I have electrostatics, then they're strongly interacting, right? Because electrostatics it decays very, very slowly. It goes as 1 over R, the potential of electrostatics. And the Lennard-Jones, they go as, you see, 1 over R power 6, right? So you know this decays very fast compared to this. So we are looking at very short range forces. So this, I can write this as U between, let's say, some particle I and Rj modulus. So I can write basically sigma over all such I and J's. Is everybody following? And I not equal to J, of course. So if there are 3 particles, so this means U12 plus U23 plus U32. Okay. So, and here I shouldn't just say Ij, because then what will happen? I think I can do this, because then you will double count. So I'll say I greater than J. So there are 2 sigmas here such that this is the potential. Is everybody following this? Yes or no? Let me know quickly.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this, if you just understand the system, it's very easy. Nothing this. Now, how do I write the partition function for this? See, generally what statistical mechanics is something where while doing it's you're just following the math. There's nothing, so I know the canonical probability. Having that, just keep writing the math. You get the partition function, and then you kind of look at some property, and then suddenly it makes sense as to something is happening. Oh, this is great. So most of the statistical mechanics is you're just following what the math does, and this mathematics is also not really, there's nothing difficult, it's just integration, differentiation, that's it. Okay, now what is the partition function for Z? Can anybody tell me
Integration of
now?
d cube R1
Oh, 1 over n
d cube
factorial.
R1.
I'll just write this. So this is d cube. So what I'll do is I'll just write it. Okay, no, I'll just write it. D cube p1, d cube p2, and then I have d cube x1, d cube x2. Here e to the power minus, remember I have this, I goes from p square by 2m. This is beta, there is a beta. Since it's exponential, I can write it as a sum of exponentials times e to the power minus beta, this u modulus or ri minus rj. Okay, is this correct? I've just substituted what partition functions are. That's it. Is everybody following this? Yes, no? Okay, so now I know what this is, right? Because if I look at these are actually, I can write this as separate integrals in p and x. So one is, and remember now I cannot write v to the power n for the x's. That is the major difference, because my x, or let me just write this x1 since I've written here x. This becomes xi minus xj. So it depends on the distance between xi and j. Now the major difference is I can take this the momentum integral outside. So dqp1, dqp2 up to dqpn, and here I have e to the power minus beta sigma p square by 2m. So this is one integral multiplied by, I have this integral in x's, d cube x1 etc, e to the power minus beta u x1 x2. Okay, is everybody following this? There are other integrals here, d cube x2 x3, I'm not writing those, but is everybody following this? Yes, no?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so and this factor h to the power 3n, I can keep it or not keep it, doesn't matter. Okay, so now what is this? This is nothing but you have evaluated this already. So this is, there is no v to the power n, so this is nothing but 1 by n factorial this omega to the power 3n. That's the, is everybody following? Any doubts, you please ask me right away. Yes, no? Any doubt? Times I'm multiplying by this integral is there, d cube x1, d cube x2, e to the power minus beta u of xi minus xj. I have not written all the sigmas, so this means I'm summing over all the pairs, okay? Not just I and j where I greater than j, so it is this one. So I've not written the sigma, but remember it's a total potential energy of the system. I have to calculate this. Okay, so now what I'll do is, it's always, how do I, anything non-ideal, what I can say is it's ideal plus something. So to do that, what I'll do is I'll just multiply by v power n both sides. So I'll get v to the power n factorial, this 3n, and then I'll divide this integral by trust me, at the end of this class, really you will be excited if kind of, because somehow the answer comes from nowhere and we have actually not made any assumptions, right? So the only assumption is it's a weakly interacting gas. Is everybody following this? So I just uh, multiplied and divided by v to the power n. So what is this?
This ideal gas case.
Ideal gas.
So the first one is nothing but the ideal gas partition function. Okay, so remember this d cube x1 x2, what does it mean is, so let's just take, so it just means that if I have particle 1, this u will and there are n particles. So for 1 there will be how many? There is u1 1 2, u1 3, u1 4 up to u1 n. This is for particle 1. So for particle 2, of course, I cannot do u21 because it's a double counting. I have already counted that. U22 is of course not there. Particle does not interact with itself. So now I have u23, u24 up to u2n. For third particle, it will be u3 4, right? Because u31 and u23 are already taken, already counted. So this I have to integrate over. These are all the pairs which will come. Okay, remember how many such pairs will be there if there are n particles. How many pairs will come? The question is how many such, if I count all the u terms, how many terms will be there?
2n
n
minus n.
factorial.
Somebody is saying n factorial. Okay. Then
No, we have to actually
if I had asked this question in class 5, you would have been able to answer. So I think all this education system has our corrupted our thinking.
No, we have to actually reduce that. We have to actually separate that double counting.
So n into n minus 1.
Somebody is coming close. Who is that? N into n minus 1 person?
N into n minus 1 factorial.
N. So yes, the correct answer would be, if you look at that.
Half into n into n minus 1.
Yeah, correct. So it's half of n into n minus 1. These many interactions. How? Because 1 can interact with what? 2, 3, 4. 1 can interact with any molecule will interact with n minus 1 particles. So there are n such particles. So they will interact with n into n minus 1. But we know that half of them will be double counted. So we divide that by 2, right? So what I'm doing is, think of this. I have 1, 2, 3 particles. How many pairs? If I just assume that, so 1 will interact with u12, u13. 2 will interact with u21, u23. 3 will interact with u31, u32. So total I'll get 6. So n here is 3, n minus 1 is 2. So n into n minus 1, total I get 6. But of this, you realize all these 3 are double counted. This is double counting. This is double, sorry, I have to only remove 1. So this is double counting. So this was what? u31. Let me just u13. So this is double counting, this is double counting, this is double counting. So effective, I just have n into n minus 1 by 2. So I only have 3 pairs. So if there are n such pairs, I'll have n into n minus 1 by 2 such interactions. Is all of you following this? Yes, no? And all these interactions, are they same or different?
They are same.
They're same, right? It's the same molecule. So same molecule, they'll have the same potential. It's the ID numbers is different, but it's the same potential. So what does that tell me? If I can just integrate between two particles 1 and 2 and calculate the integral, and then if I multiply that by n into n minus 1, then I will be able to get the value of the entire integral. All of you following what I'm saying? So what is this integral? This integral is nothing but, I'm just writing the second integral, d cube x1, d cube x2, d cube xn, e to the power minus beta, and here all the potentials are there. I'll say x12, u x13, then the same thing u x23, so up to n. Okay, so how many pairs are there here? The number of such terms is n into n minus 1 by 2. So now what I'm saying is I'll do the same integral, but it's just how many times it is n into n minus 1 times. All of you following this or no? So what I am saying is to evaluate this entire integral, I'll just consider, let's say, for x1 and x2, all the other integrals will okay, let's do things slow, one by one. Everybody understood how there are n into n minus 1 pairs? Let me know. Who has not understood? Let me know. Everybody has understood how you get n into n minus 1 pairs of interactions? Yes, no?
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. If you have doubts, just stop me right here, okay? How you get. So now I need to integrate this integral. Remember, I have these integral. So let's assume that there are only 3 particles. What would this integral be? It would be d cube x1, d cube x2, d cube x3, e to the power minus beta u of x12, u of x13 plus u of x23. Correct? Am I writing it? Let me know if you have any questions here. Yes, no? Now what does this become? This will become d cube x1. So now for x1 and so so what you can write this as this u x12 is same as 13 is same as, so if I can write this as beta u x of 12 times e to the power minus beta u x of 13 times e to the power minus beta u of x of 23. Okay, is everybody following this? So since it's in the exponentials, you can write that as a multiplicative factor. Is everybody following? Okay. So now what do I do is, let's consider, this is the only thing you will need for this. Let's consider 2 particles. 1 and 2. Okay. Can you keep any doubts? Let me know. Okay. I'll give you 3 minutes. Keep thinking, just 2 minutes, and let me know what. Any doubts? No doubt? So everybody is clear how I got n into n minus 1? Okay. So now let's look at what happens if I have just 2 particles, right? You just have 2 particles. And what did we say about this potential? The potential is weakly, it's a very weak gas. Okay. So now how would I integrate this? Just look at this for particular d cube x1, e to the power minus beta u of, this is, remember, x1 minus x2. So these integrals d cube x1, d cube x2 are the entire volume, but the potential just depends on the relative, what do I say, relative distance between the particles. Correct? Okay, so now how do I integrate this? So one way to integrate this would be, I'll keep maybe x1 fixed, right? Since it only depends on the relative distances between the particles. Okay, so I'll keep just my x. If I keep one fixed, then I can what would be the, so I have kept one fixed. Okay, let's assume this. So if I keep one fixed, what are the possible values 2 can take?
Only one value.
Sorry,
It will take only one value
why?
with respect to one, because one we have fixed. So
It
only.
can take many values because it can
Yeah,
rotate.
2 can explore the entire box, right?
Okay.
So
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
2 can be anywhere.
Yeah, 2 can be anywhere. Okay, so now, or you can think of that you keep 2 fixed. It's up to you how you do this order. The order doesn't matter. So if I keep 1 fixed, then 2 can be anywhere in the particular box. Remember? So I keep 1 fixed here. This is fixed. 2 can be anywhere in the box. Now, if 2 can be anywhere in the box, do you think, so what will be this value of u of x1? This depends on the relativity for most of the box. So 1 is fixed, 2 can be anywhere in the box, and I've already described these are weakly interacting systems. So for most of the cases in the box, what would be this value of u of x1 minus x2?
0.
0. Who
Zero.
answered it? All of you are answering. Very good. So it will be 0, right? Except when they come close. Okay. All of you following what I'm saying? So except when they come close, it is not 0. So what and
So I can say, could I say it is a delta function?
no, it's not a delta function.
Because everywhere it is 0, somewhere it is.
No. Delta function is just a particular value, right? So here it says in a particular, inside a particular sphere, it is not 0. So delta function it's not a delta function.
Okay.
So when the distance between the particles is less than some particular value, then they start feeling that they are next to each other. So then they start feeling these forces. And this particular integral of u of x, again, is, I call this u naught. Okay, remember what is u naught? U naught is the integral of when I calculate keeping one fixed. So think of this. So what you're basically doing is, I've kept 1 here. So you're taking 2, you're placing 2 at various points, 2, 2, 2. That's what the integral does this, right? Because I have dx2. x2 can be anywhere. So anywhere in this. Now, if I look at these contributions to the integral, what will happen for most of the cases? It is u is 0, right? So for this u is 0. What happened? Okay. For most of the cases, u is 0. Like for this case, u is 0. Why? For this case, u is 0. For this case, u is, sorry. When the distance is very large, u becomes 0. Except for small distances. Here I am actually calculating this integral. Okay, I have calculated the integral d cube x for this e to the power minus beta u of x, and I say that is equal to that is equal to u naught. Okay, is all of you following what I'm saying or no? If you are not following, just let me know. So I've integrated this integral throughout for that particular space. So I have this, let me see. and I call this u naught. Okay. So what did we do? We kept one fixed, and we looked, and 2 can be anywhere in the box, but at only few positions it is able to it will actually be accounting for that integral, because else in most of the places this u becomes 0. Now, is that all? We have to now, one can also go, right? What positions one can take? So remember, for two particles, the integral between x1 and x2, but this depends on only the relative distance. Now I keep x1 fixed, right? So I'm only integrating this integral, the first part. I kept one fixed, 2 can be anywhere. Now what will happen to 1? 1 can, so what would be the
It
total
will have
volume?
only one value.
So no, so think of this. What you are basically trying to do is, for every given arrangement of 1 and 2, I want to calculate e to the power minus beta u of x12. Okay, for every particular arrangement. Instead of, so you can imagine how difficult it is to do, because this is a relative integral, because it depends on the relative distance, whereas your integrants, your dx, d1, dx1, dx2 are the absolute integrals, or the values in x and y, not the relative scale. So what I would do is, what you would do is, I'll keep 1 here fixed. Now integrate over all the possible variations of 2. Okay, 2 can be here, 2 can be here, here, everywhere, and then I know that particular value I've given you as u naught. Okay, is that all the integral? Now remember, 1 can again go here, 1 can be here, 1 can be here. So every time I can fix 1 at a different position, but the final value, since it depends only on the relative distance, the value would be u naught for each of the case. How many such, what is the phase space for 1? 1 can be anywhere in the box. So the total integral of this d cube x1 d cube x2 e to the power minus beta u of x between 1 2 is v times u naught. Everybody following this or no? Yes, no?
Sir, why V is coming?
No, sir.
No. Okay. Why v is coming means, what did we do? So I have two particles, 1 and 2. So I need to explore all the possible phase space. So for example, let me just divide this volume into grids. Okay, they can be in this, these particles can be in these, let's say 4 points, 1 2 3 4, and I want to calculate the relative distance. Okay, I'll do this way. Hold on, let me write a square. Now I've replaced volume by kind of number of sites, right? So how many sites are there? This is 1 2 3 4 5 6. So I think 1 2 3 4. So there are 36 possible sites, right? Here. Is everybody following this?
Sir, it is 5 cross 5.
Yeah, but if I look at, if you think I can sit on the vertex, then it is 36. If you think I can sit only on the inside, then it is 25. That's not the point here. Okay, the point here is, yeah, you can take 25 or 36, doesn't matter how you count. Okay, I have counted that the molecules can stay at on the vertices, so in my count it is 36. Okay, so imagine that if the distance between molecules I and j is greater than one lattice unit, then the potential u is 0. This is a very fair assumption, similar to an ideal gas. If I'm modeling ideal gas, if I'm modeling a real gas on a lattice, this is the model I would start. I'll say that only if they are neighboring lattice. So remember, this is just one, not even diagonal. So if something is here and here, I will not consider them to be interacting. Only if they are in the neighboring sites. Okay. So now I have to do this integral d cube x1. It means 1 can go all the way from 0 to 36 sides. Integral d cube x2, it means 2 can go from 0 and it can occupy any of these sides, or 1 to 36, whatever. E to the power minus beta u of r12. This is what the integral is for just two particles. Now what do? I'm saying I'll keep one fixed. So it means I fix one in one position. It means particle 1 is in position 1. Okay. So that means now I just need to, I'm varying 2. What are the possible points 2 can take? I know 2 cannot occupy this because the contribution there is not it. So 2 can occupy any of these particular cases, right? It can occupy here, 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 here.
25
All,
side.
35, sir.
whatever, 35, or it can occupy, I can say, all the 36 side, but on the 36 side, the energy U is infinity, so that e to the power minus beta goes to 0. Anyways, it's other way of defining, doesn't matter. So it can occupy all these states. Now, what I'm saying is, of all these states, what are the possible states that contribute to the energy? Only this one and this one. Okay. Right? Because in all the other cases, U is going to 0. Is everybody following this? Yes, no, you have to say so that I can proceed further.
Sir, how do we know that the other sides are greater than 1, or like viewer is getting 0?
No, this distance is 1, right? I'm saying it's some lattice
Okay,
unit.
fine.
Yeah. So I defined it this way. So it's up to you how you define it. You can have your gas is such that maybe up to 2 lattice sites will interact. It's up to you how you define. So this is a model, right? An interacting gas, if you look at weakly interacting gas, up to certain distance, they feel this intermolecular force. When the distance is larger than that, they don't feel it. Simple model. Okay. Now, what I'm saying is, when the second molecule is here or here, they are contributing to this integral, right? Because u of r for those is not 0. Okay. So if I keep one fixed, and if I calculate that integral by moving 2 over all possible lattice sites, I get a value for that integral. And that value for the integral, I am calling it u0. Okay. If I kept one fixed at a particular point and then I integrated over all possible variations of 2, then I get a value of an integral, and in most possible cases of 2 it is 0, except when 2 is very close to 1, I get a value and I integrate that I am calling it u0. Is everybody following this? Okay, now is that enough? That's not correct, right? Because that's not the complete integral. The complete integral is, even now I kept x fixed, but remember x can occupy, even the particle 1 can occupy any of these 36 sites. All of you following?
Yes, sir.
So I'm not hearing from others at all. Either they have slept off, or maybe I don't know. Okay. So unless that's the problem with online teaching, unless you kind of let me know, else it's very difficult for me to understand what is happening. Okay. So now the second, so remember this d cube x1, first I kept 1 at 0.1. Now I keep 1 at 1 can go to 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But in every case, that the integral, and so let's say I move 1 to 0.2. So let's say 1 goes from here to here. Now I keep 1 fixed here. Now it's the same thing with 2. 2 can occupy the rest 35 sites. In most of the sites don't contribute, but few sites contribute, but the contribution will be same, equal to u0.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So how many such contribute in discrete sites? I'm saying here it will be 36 times u0, right? Because 1 can move, there is 36 sites available. But if you look at from the continuous sense,
It will
the
be V.
total volume is V, it is
V.
V times u0.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay,
this
sir.
is between two particles. just two particles, 1 and 2. But remember your integral, I'm forgetting the ideal part. Ideal part we have already calculated. So it has this particular thing, dA cube x, d cube xn, e to the power minus beta u of all these particular u x12, x13, and we know how many pairs are there. So remember what does it mean is I have to, the way we did this integral for, so if I take this is a two body particle, right? So it only depends on x1 and 2. So let me just do for ux12. What would be, this would be this integral d cube x1, d cube x2 up to d cube xn e to the power minus beta u of x12. Okay, let's say there is other part. So this integral, does this depend on x3, x4, x5, the all those positions? The first, just between two particles, it will depend only on the positions of 1 and 2,
Yes, neighboring
right?
only.
Relative positions of 1 and 2. So all these other which are not part of, from d cube 3 to n, I can take it out. So this will become v to the power n times I have this d cube x1, d cube x2, e to the power minus beta u x12. What is this?
This is V U naught.
So sorry, this is v to the power n minus 2. Sorry. This is again v to the power so this is v to the power n minus 2, because those many integrands are coming out which are not, but this we calculated is nothing but v times u naught. What is u naught? That you don't know. Experimentalists, let's say they have given you that value. Okay, am I right? Is everybody following this?
Yes, sir.
But this is only between two particles, 1 and 2. How many such pairs are there?
N pairs.
No, they're not n pairs. There is n into n minus 1.
-1.
Yeah, so there is n into n minus 1 pairs. And how can I write that? So what you basically do is, this is I have e to the power beta u of x. That is your exponential term, right? In the potential function. So we will again do this again tomorrow. So if u of x is very small, then how do I expand it? Can I write this as 1 minus beta u of x? Can I write this way or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, no, or I don't agree. What?
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Yeah, right. So basically now in place of that e to the power this in the integral, I'll just substitute this, which is d cube x1, d cube x2. Here I have 1 minus beta u of x. Okay. And here I think we have divided by v power and some, this is the integral. So we'll stop here. It's and we'll continue tomorrow, and you'll see the final answer is actually you'll be extremely surprised. We'll see what happens. Okay. Yeah. So people who are meeting, I've given them time today, and the projects will start on Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I'm not going to again read out what is what. You know your group, whatever you have, you present, right? So you don't have to worry much this time because there's no grades. Having said that, there is still pass fail, so please make sure you do whatever best you can. Okay. Yeah, we'll meet tomorrow. Thank you.